I'm Mary Wasco. I am a parent at the Soulard School, and I also teach culinary arts and nutrition here at the school. My background is actually in elementary education with gifted education certification. And when I was looking for a school for my daughter when she was in kindergarten, we kind of stumbled across the Soulard School, which was just beginning. When we sat down and talked to Kelly at the very beginning about whether or not this would even be a good fit for our family, she talked about wanting to do this idea of family-style meals. And honestly, it scared me a little bit as a parent because I am a little bit particular about what my kids eat. When I thought of kids sharing a meal at a school, I was thinking my children were going to be eating hot dogs and French fries every day. And we work really hard to make sure that our kids eat balanced meals at home, and so I wanted that to be the same. I actually wanted my daughter to be able to bring her own lunch every day. So with that, Kelly actually asked me if I would be willing to perhaps do a little cooking with the kids as part of volunteer hours. So the very first year of the school, I spent 4 hours a week working with kids and cooking one meal a week with them. And it started off where we were trying to even decide, I couldn't really just go cook with kids because if they were going to have some input into planning their meals, they needed to really know what a well-balanced meal was, what things needed to be taken into account when planning a meal. And that's where the idea of nutrition classes came from. The real purpose of the nutrition classes are to give our kids the foundation to plan a menu and then to come into the kitchen, take what they know about balanced eating, good nutrition principles, and bring that into the kitchen and then apply it while they're cooking for the school.
I really like the fact that there's a very healthy approach to nutrition, nourishment, and the way that the school culture around food is. Kids have a chance, an opportunity to have snacks in the morning and in the afternoon, but they're responsible for when they get the snacks, when they need them. There's not a set time. It allows them to have plenty of energy throughout the day, and then there's a very healthy meal at midday and an opportunity for them to interact with one another, with their older peers, and a family-style surrounding. It's a really healthy environment and one of the most attractive things about the Soulard School.
I love it when my teacher says it's time for lunch. I just, in my body, I just say, yay, it's time for lunch, it's time for lunch. I like to pass the food around the table.
I think that family-style meals give the children a chance to use their manners, to develop social interactions at the table, because there are different social conversations that happen at the table, different manners that happen at the table as far as in the classroom, and then even when they come up and ask for more, they're approaching the table and asking with their manners, and then also thinking about who else is at the table. So it's not just, I want more of this, but my friends at my table need 4 servings of vegetables.
When the students come in to plan a meal, they sit down and they together have to negotiate a menu that will represent all the parts of the food pyramid. It's my one criteria from the very get-go. Sometimes they'll come in and they will have a few cookbooks out on the table that they will look through and try to find a main dish that they like that they can all agree upon. And then other times they'll come in and I'll give them a choice of 3 different recipes and tell them that they have to choose one of those as their main dish. And the reason I do that is really to just kind of broaden their horizons as far as what they're willing to even try to make. Because sometimes kids, when they find something comfortable, they want to keep making the same types of things over and over. And so we try to give them a little variety by doing that.
I like cooking because it's really fun and natural and not just being bossed around, because Mary, our instructor, is really nice and she's very knowledgeable. So when I'm cooking, I get to learn a lot of things. And it's also just really fun cooking with my friends and laughing and having good times.
I really like the Iron Chef competition in culinary arts because we broke into 4 teams and went to the kitchen, and we had to decide, like, find the recipes and stuff, look for the recipes, and we got to boss Mary around with cooking, which I really liked.
Being a parent at Soulard School, I love the way the culinary arts program works. So I've been vegetarian for probably 20 years, and we obviously don't eat meat at our house. And the family-style meals here are very accommodating. So Mary Waskow, who leads the culinary arts program, is able to tweak the menus for vegetarians, and even to a finer detail, the parents that have different dietary needs or wants have a little group that actually provides some vegetarian meals on the side to supplement that.
The Thursday before students cook, they will go to Soulard Market to shop for all of the fresh produce that they need to prepare their meal. There's 2 different groups that go. I'll take one group, and then I have parent volunteers who rotate and take the second group. The kids go with a list of the produce that they need, and they go with a budget. And so they go and they purchase as much as they can depending on the season. A couple things, the kids learn a little bit about budgeting. They learn that just because I love mangoes, we can't necessarily afford to buy enough mangoes to feed 90 children. So they'll look at how much money they have, buy the things that they absolutely have to buy, and then sometimes decide whether or not they have money to splurge on some of the extra things that they want. It also helps with math skills. I always make them calculate how much change they're going to get back. The vendor will tell them how much money they owe. They'll pay them with whatever they have, and they always have to calculate the change before the vendor gives it back to them.
When we go shopping at the market, it's actually really fun because like we have to deal with all the money and everything, so like Mary will tell us, or whoever we're driving with will tell us, like we need to figure out, like we're buying this and this and this, we need to figure out how much it's going to cost and how much change we're going to get back, so we kind of do math no matter what, so it kind of helps everybody with math, like knowing how much you're going to get back in change and stuff like that.
My favorite thing is about when we cook, we're allowed to go shopping at the market, and when we do that, we can pick out stuff that usually our mom and dad sometimes don't let us.
I don't know. I just see kids trying a lot of things that they normally wouldn't do, and they have a big input on recipes too. And they even go shopping down at our Soulard Market, which it alone is a great place to go. And I think they learn about buying and in bulk and freshness. And I heard one girl talking one day. They were talking about when they picked out the kale and stuff. She goes, "See this here? It doesn't have any brown, and we got the kind that was a little bit more tender and the lighter green." I mean, she was going into detail how we had selected the greens, which normally I don't think you would have that with a kid.
Every week in the kitchen is an adventure. You never really know what you're going to get. Some of it is determined by who you're cooking with. There's some students who are much more comfortable in the kitchen and who have worked in the kitchen with me for a long period of time, so it's very easy to hand them a task and have them just complete that task. There's other kids who are a little more unfamiliar with the kitchen, and they're a little more tentative and need a little more direction. And then a lot of it depends on what the students have decided to prepare. Some weeks it's really easy. It's more of a simple meal to throw together. And then there's other weeks where we are watching the clock and we are working as fast as we can work in hopes that we get lunch done by first lunch.
I cooked a really awesome meal. It had pasta, sauteed spinach, noodles, and tomatoes. And it was really good.
A meal I liked is probably the pizza that the Quiet Tutors, the pre-K class, created last year because it wasn't all greasy, cheesy. There were actually vegetables on it, and it tasted natural and not processed. I cracked eggs.
The students broke up into groups, and they wrote letters to Michelle Obama, Jamie Oliver, and Michael Pollan. And we heard back from all 3 of them. Michael Pollan, in specific, sent a copy of The Omnivore's Dilemma for young readers. And so this year, at the very beginning of the year, the Mosaic Classroom has been reading through The Omnivore's Dilemma and actually breaking into groups and following the 4 different meals that Michael Pollan has, and did a presentation on that for nutrition classes. And that group in particular has become very aware of where their food comes from, even to know that we go to Soulard Market, but what food from the market comes local is, food produce that's grown locally, and which of it is shipped from California or from Mexico.
Recently this year in nutrition, we read a book called The Omnivore's Dilemma by an author named Michael Pollan. And it was really cool because we got to learn about these 4 different groups: local, sustainable, industrial, organic, and hunter-gatherer. And then we split into groups, and each group they got one of those topics and did a project on it.
In my class, the Mosaics have been learning about high fructose corn syrup and corn and sugars and what that can do to your body.
Since I've been taking culinary arts class, it's really helped me at home with cooking. I don't cook microwaved meals anymore. I don't really think they taste very good. I would prefer to make my own soups or breakfasts like eggs and stuff. It's a lot easier for me to cook now, and I'm really glad I got to share in that experience.
Oh my goodness. How hasn't it affected how we do things at home? They come home and tell me about different things that they've tried that we haven't even had at home. But it has opened up just a world of possibilities for them that I don't think they would have had they not had the experience here at school. Like sushi, for example, which I have not introduced at home, but they had that here at school one day. They're much more adventurous.
One educational benefit to the culinary arts program is that kids are learning nutrition in the classroom, but then there's a practical application of that information in the kitchen. The culinary arts program really encompasses the whole school. It begins in pre-K with kids just being exposed to the kitchen and to cooking, how to wash hands. That moves to worm composting, which moves to planting things in the garden, to by the time they're in 6th grade, they can make up their own recipes because they're so comfortable in the kitchen.
On Wednesdays, I come in and I help out with in the kitchen, whatever, help put the food, prep the food, put on the tables, these type of things. And it's pretty cool because the kids have made the meal a lot of the times, which is nice to check out and experience and see what they're doing with their culinary stuff. But also get to watch the kids interact and watch my own son, of course.
Eating the wide variety that they get here, they tend to pick foods from different countries. They have different themes that they work on each week and each month with the different classes. So we're able to tie that into meals at home as their interests waxes and wanes with different foods. So it's just been a very helpful and exciting experience. I mean, I bet that it's made better cooks of all the parents as well as better eaters of the students at the school.
I think it's really nice to know that my daughter has a chance to have food in her belly all the time. She's got the energy throughout the day because she's got the ability to enjoy snacks when she needs them. She has the ability to regulate that opportunity, and then she sits down for a healthy lunch with older kids, and it's a neat environment for a child, I think.
Mary is an incredible teacher, and I'm really lucky she taught me.